Welcome to Two Idiots and a Dog, Idiots Unleashed.
Fold your dollars and grab a beer.
That doesn't even make any sense for this.
Okay, you're right. Sorry, next on stage one.
Sorry.
We love you, Pixie.
Just a quick warning, this is an uncensored podcast, so you may hear adult language or other content, such as heresy, not suited for children, the workplace, church, or frankly human consumption, or those filthy Xenos.
If you hadn't guessed already, our topic this week is Warhammer 40K for idiots. This was suggested to us and then actually paid for by our friend on Discord. Is it Athan?
AthanMortis.
I think it's Athan. Anyways, so if you have a topic idea for us, you can let us know on Discord or social media. Or you can also, maybe, I don't know if we'll have this back up or not, hit us up on Ko-fi to sponsor an episode. But you can also only vote in the topic poll on Discord. And don't forget, drink your Ovaltine.
Now, stand back.
Because the idiots are already unleashed.
So yes, we are filthy, filthy sellouts. We have been bought and paid for this episode.
A whopping $20.
God, we're cheap.
I would just like to point out...
We didn't plan that!
We did not plan that.
We don't plan much when it comes to these episodes!
Alright, so... with the topic of being Warhammer 40K, I'm going to have to let Grim take the lead on this one because... well, 40K is grim dark. Grim is grim, so therefore 40K is grim. And grim is 40K.
But I'm not dark. I'm like as white as they come.
Yeah, but you wear dark clothing, so it counts.
I don't think that's how that works.
I don't know.
But it is true that I know more about 40K than you do, apparently, which is just weird. However, I am by no means an expert, so some of this might be wrong. Some of this might be wildly incorrect. Some of this might have already been retconned out of canon. Who the fuck knows?
All I care is that the orcs' magic works because they believe it does.
It does indeed, and we will get there. Actually, let's start there.
Now, there's one place we should start first, actually. We should start with one very important, often overlooked fact about 40K.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, this is a fact that is overlooked by everybody, including a far larger portion of the fan base than I am comfortable acknowledging the existence of.
Warhammer 40K is
satire.
If you can't tell that 40K is satire, on the surface I can understand that, but you even delve the slightest bit into especially the Imperium's lore, the Imperium are so ridiculous.
You think that's ridiculous? No, that's not ridiculous. I will give you ridiculous. Ridiculous is orcs. All of the orcs. All of the orcs. So, everybody's like, well, they're orcs, you know? They're just like green-skinned humanoids, yada, yada, yada. No. 40K orcs are weird.
So, you know, I'm going to go into this one a little bit because orcs is actually one of the places that I know a little bit more because they were one of two factions I was most interested in playing.
And also because they're just stupid enough that they're going to hit you right in that target.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, first of all, I stand firm in the belief that the orcs are the only non-evil race in 40K. I didn't say they were good, mind you. Non-evil. Because the orcs just want to fight.
Orcs just want to have fun.
No, orcs just want to have wah.
That is their fun.
Point taken. But the orcs are... okay, first of all, the orcs are fungus.
Mm-hmm.
They are not mammals. They are fucking living, sapient, ish fungus. And that does mean they are extremely hard to kill. They reproduce incredibly quickly. And they have a very simple, single-minded determination of fighting and racing and blowing shit up. That's what they do. They don't really comprehend the concepts of good and evil.
Yeah, and so, God, where do I even start with these fucking disasters?
Well, let's see. Like I say, they like to race.
They do like to race.
And did you know that if they paint their vehicles red, they go faster?
They actually do.
Literally.
Because they believe that they go faster.
In the miniatures game, it is actually something that you can pay extra points for to have your vehicle painted red, and it gets like an extra inch of movement. So the red ones go faster.
And the purple ones are invisible.
And there's also something special for yellow.
Do you know why the purple ones are invisible?
Because the orcs believe they are.
Have you ever seen a purple army?
Point taken.
So, yeah, orcs are ridiculous. Their hierarchy is a complete joke. They're constantly fighting each other in order to... Well, one, they just like fighting. And two, to create a hierarchy. But at the top of that hierarchy is the war boss. Now, there's multiple war bosses because a war boss is at the top of his hierarchy. There is no unified central orc hierarchy. It is just individual raiding armies doing their thing and picking fights with whoever they can.
The closest there is the fact that the orcs do sort of worship Gork and Mork, which would be the gods-ish of the orcs.
Yeah, orc origins are even weirder than that. Something happened somewhere, but way back, like before humans were even a thing, the orc race was originally put forward by a group of powerful beings in order to face off against another galactic threat, the Necron. Now, these primordial orcs were actually called, I think, Krorks? And then they eventually became orcs. I told you this was gonna be weird.
Yes, they were Krorks. So they were biologically engineered species created more than 60 million Terran years ago as a warrior race originally called the Krork by the long-vanished reptilian alien species known as the Old Ones, whom the orcs refer to as the Brain Boys.
I told you this was gonna get weird. We haven't even scratched the surface of weird. So, you know. Although, though, I am reminded of a story. There was a particularly popular war boss who would throw massive parties in addition to all the fighting and everything. I'm told he was a fun guy.
God damn it, I don't have my knife on me. Kaiju kill.
Victory is mine. I've been waiting this entire entry to set that bad joke up.
Do you see what I have to deal with? Do you see the shit I put up with? Is anyone looking for a job? I'd like to hire a new idiot. I think my current other idiot is going to die a slow, horrible, painful death soon.
Yeah, but that's just millennial life.
Fair.
So, the orcs are just but one of many, many factions in the 40K universe. The one that's most well documented is the Imperium of Man, because they are considered by most to be the finger quotes protagonists of 40K's universe, which makes a certain amount of sense since they are human. They are the humans. They are us.
Which obviously means that they are the worst because humans suck. I'm glad I'm not one.
So, who's going to tell him? Because I'm not going to tell him. One of you should probably tell him sometime. Anyway, we'll get there. The Imperium of Man is stupid, and it's well documented, and we're going to be on it for a while. So let's try to get a few other players out of the way first. Now, I already mentioned the Necron. And the Necron are weird. So basically, way back in the way before times, again, before mankind was even a thing, the Necron were known as the Necron tier. And they lived in an area of so much radiation that they were all born horribly mutated and cancerous. I'm just going to pause here to give an obligatory fuck cancer.
That may not be what may not be the current canon.
Yeah, I don't care.
Because I'm looking at it and I'm not seeing anything about that.
I did say there was a strong possibility this was not going to be canon anymore, so I don't care. Besides, it's stupid, so we're going to cover it. The important parts, though, are that eventually they created their own gods. These were known as the Catan.
Were they settlers?
I don't know. The Catan were condensed energy put inside really cool metal bodies. And sooner or later, the Catan were like, hey, this is all cool and all. Oh, hey, you know what you guys should do? Your bodies are all, like, weak and crap. We should, like, give you metal bodies, too. And then Necron tier were like, oh, hey, that's a great idea. Yeah, we should do that. And then they did, except they realized that the Catan, when they switched over to transfer their essence into these new bodies, were consuming their souls in the process. And so they no longer felt deep emotion or the ability to produce art, great works of literature, culture, the important stuff. And, well, the newly minted Necrons were understandably a little ticked off about that, and decided, hey, we're just going to kill our gods now. And then they did. And then they were like, well, there's nothing else around here except people that want to kill us, so we're going to go to sleep for 60 million years and see what the world is like when we wake up.
So they decided their gods were more trouble than they were worth, so they killed them.
Yep.
So what you're saying is they're Klingons.
Metal skeleton Klingons.
They get back up.
Mm-hmm.
We have a friend who plays 40K and has for a long time, and he likes to talk about when the Necrons were first released for the game, how many often you would hear from a table, what do you mean they get back up?
Well, you see, they get knocked down, but they get up again. You can't ever keep them down. This might be the dumbest episode we've done yet.
That's saying something.
Right?
Alright, speaking of dumb, Eldar,
Yeah, okay, Eldar. What should we talk about the Eldar? Oh, I know. The only thing the Eldar have ever done that was actually worth anything of consequence. They murder-fucked a god into existence. What does that mean? Okay. So, there is a place known as the Realm of Souls. And the Realm of Souls is where, well, souls go.
That seems silly.
I know. You'd think they'd be kept in somewhere like the Realm of Bread, but no, Realm of Souls. Whatever. I don't make the rules. And the thing is, over time, the various races and the warring and everything that's been going on in the 40K universe since basically time immemorial broke the Realm of Souls until it became the realm that we now know and love as Chaos. Chaos is an ever-shifting, twisting hellscape nightmare connected to all living organic species.
So, okay. Let me roll that back for a second. I did not know this. So you're telling me that the chaos that they fucking travel through is the land of the dead.
Yep, before we fucked it up and turned it into chaos. There it is.
I don't know if you heard, but that thud that you may or may not have heard was my head hitting the wall.
Yeah, I told you, this was going to get stupid. But we're not done there yet. So, this realm of chaos is connected to the unconscious and conscious desires of most living things across the width and breadth of the universe. And that means that over time, certain primordial concepts coalesced into what are known as the gods of chaos. So, this is a process that takes a while, right? We're talking millions of years as these, or at the very least thousands, as these concepts and feelings and emotions coalesce into these sapient, horrible shapes. And of course, because it's chaos, they're twisted and nightmarish. So we got Khorne.
Blood god, right?
Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. You've heard the fucking meme.
Milk for the cornflakes.
He is the god of battle and bloodshed.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Then you have Nurgle, who is the god of pestilence, disease, and life unrestrained. All of his guys are horrible mutants with, like, gross pustules and lots of poison damage.
Murdering all the Nurglings.
Murdering the Nurglings.
Cleansing with holy fire.
For the Emperor! Wait, shit, we're not there yet.
Fuck the Emperor. I just want to cleanse with holy fire.
I mean, listen, if you want to fuck a one-eyed skull sitting on a throne, be my guest.
I've had weirder dates.
Frankly, so have I, come to think of it. So, you do you. Or the Emperor, in this case. Remember, Athan, you paid for this. With real money, even.
What is wrong with you?
So, and then there's Tzeentch, who is the chaos god of knowledge and arcane power.
Kind of the coolest of them all, in my opinion.
He's still fucked, because all the chaos gods are fucked, but he's pretty cool. So, and for a long time, it was these three. Oh, I'm sorry. There was another one. God of Malice. And he's been, like, retconned out of continuity for, like, the third time. I don't know. But for the most part, it was those three. And then the Eldar got together, and they murder-fucked so much that in the span of a very short time, they unleashed a psychokinetic shockwave across the width and breadth of chaos, which, by the way, also happened to kill a whole bunch of the Eldar. And this event spawned a new chaos god, Slaanesh, god of lust, perversion, and pleasure. So, call me. So when I say that they murder-fucked until they created a god, I mean that literally. They had enough wild orgy parties and killed enough of each other and the rest of the universe to spawn a god. That shit's fucked up.
So apparently Malice is currently a god, and Malice is actually his name.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, isn't he like the dark god of revenge now or some shit?
According to the wiki, there's a fifth major chaos god named Malice who embodies chaos' tendency to turn upon itself and who acts against the interests of other chaos gods whenever he can, though he is certainly no ally of the Imperium either. So basically, he's the guy who's so fucked up that he does everything he can just to antagonize the other chaos gods.
And people wonder why I like him. And so the chaos gods have their own minions, which are the chaos demons. These are physical manifestations of the various individual spheres of influence of the chaos gods they serve. So, Slaanesh demons tend to be either super tentacly or... How you doing?
Or both.
Both? Both.
Both is good.
Both is good.
We're not perverts. I don't know what you're talking about.
No idea what you're talking about. Khorne's guys tend to be, very bloodthirsty and spiky.
They tend to be big, spiky, violent things.
Yeah. Nurgles are just, oh god, what am I looking at? Kill it with fire?
They are moving blobs of flesh with like pustules and...
It's gross. It's very gross. And then Zeech's minions are, well...
Burb.
Burb's the word.
I wonder what Malice's minions look like.
I don't know if he even has minions.
You know what? I'm gonna look on the wiki, see if...
Yeah, go for it. Why not?
Because I'm curious.
And they also have one other very important set of minions who are known as the Traitor Legions, but are more commonly known as Chaos Marines. These would be Marines that served the Imperium of Man and turned traitor, joining the forces of Chaos in an event known as the Horus Heresy, which is also the dust-up that resulted in the Emperor becoming a skeleton on a throne. We'll get there. Just...
So, it appears that he doesn't really have much in the way of traditional minions of his own. It appears that in some of the various editions of the game, there were like versions of certain units that would serve him, and he does also have the Sons of Malice Traitor Legion.
Okay, so he does have one legion. Okay. Hey, he got a Traitor Legion. Go him.
Also...
You're in the big leagues now.
Apparently, he has also had the name Malal. M-A-L-A-L.
Yeah, Malal, Malice, basically same guy. Like I said, he's been in and out of canon a few times. They can't really decide if they want to keep him around or not. Imagine being so difficult to plan around that you keep yo-yoing in and out of existence because your creators can't figure out what to do with you.
Oh, okay. This is just cool. A dirge of Malal. We shall deny the Nurgle their flesh to fester and rot. We shall deny Khorne their blood and skulls. We shall deny Tzeentch their destinies and fates. We shall deny Slaanesh their pleasure and pain. Death to the dark gods, for the renegade god. Let the galaxy burn.
Yeah, seems legit.
I like that.
So, the Eldar murderfucked Slaanesh into existence. We kind of just covered Chaos. Then there's the Dark Eldar, who decided that the new god that they murderfucked into existence was really, really cool, and we should, hang out with them. And they're basically Eldar that decided to take the whole pain and pleasure thing to a whole new level. They pretty much run around in BDSM gear and are basically Cenobites.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you don't know what a Cenobite is, that's a Hellraiser reference. And if you don't know what Hellraiser is, I am so sorry. Wow.
I mean, I've never seen any of them.
Oh, we're fixing that at some point.
Fuck no.
I'm making you watch at least one.
Do not make me break out something equally terrible.
The first Hellraiser is a masterpiece.
Yeah, but you know I don't do body horror.
Yeah, well, I'm going to set you on fire with my mind.
Anyways, for the greater good.
The greater good. This is not a Hot Fuzz reference, although I guess it kind of is. No, this is actually the primary central doctrine for another faction known as the Tau. What are Tau? Well, they're kind of like fishes with vaginas in their forehead. I don't make this up! And the Tau will, pretty much Tau culture is about the greater good. What is the greater good? Well, it's never adequately defined because, well, the greater good never is adequately defined when that's someone's central doctrine, isn't it? And what they do is they indoctrinate not just themselves, but also other members of other races. And so they actually do have Terrans who serve them, as well as I think a few others, although not as many. It's mostly Terrans and Tau. Now, Tau have the only smart strategy for combat in the entirety of 40K.
Stand over here and shoot them way the fuck over there.
Yep.
In actual playing of 40K, Tau have some of the longest range out there to the point where you could basically shoot the guys playing over on the next table over.
Yeah, it's insane. And that's their entire doctrine. They have almost no melee units. As a matter of fact, there's only one notable Tau commander who ever relied on melee, and I don't know his name off the top of my head. I don't even know if he's currently canon or not. But yeah, they don't really do close quarters. They get other races to do close quarters for them, and then they just shoot everything from afar. Which, I'm sorry, in the 40K universe, considering what's out there, that is the smart way. That is how you do that. You don't want to get up close and personal with a Space Marine or a Chaos Marine or some sort of Chaos Demon or whatever the Eldar's whole deal is. You definitely don't want to get close up to an orc.
Okay, so the greater good. The greater good, or Tau Va, literally greater good in the Tau lexicon, is the founding religio-philosophical principle of present Tau society, which holds that all sentient beings should strive to ensure the greatest good for the greatest number of beings in the galaxy.
Well, that sounds good on paper, but who determines what that is?
A Tau chooses neither its caste nor its true name. We are blood-born and first... We are blood-born to the first and born by blood to the second, named for what we have done and what might yet do, and like ourselves, our true names are not carved in stone. In other words, greater good's whatever the fuck we say it is right this moment, and well, that can all change because of whatever the fuck someone else says it is.
Yeah. So, you know, like I said, sounds good on paper, but then you start actually looking at it and you go, Also, they're really big on brainwashing. So, like, there are no good guys in 40K.
Well, of course, here's the thing about brainwashing. If you brainwash them, then they are being good, and they are happy, and they are content. So that is the best for the largest number of people. Therefore, it's for the greater good.
The greater good. Yeah. Tau units are cool, but their ideology gets seriously...
They do have really fucking cool power armor, though.
Oh, yeah. They have really cool power armor. Like, when I say cool power armor, I mean one of these guys can walk onto the battlefield and they are the artillery piece.
Yeah.
Massive shoulder guns that can hit from, like, 10 miles away. It's crazy. So, most people tend to overlook the Tau quite a bit. And that's fine. They're Tau. Who cares? What's that whistling? And the podcast was no more. I think that just leaves us with the last two, right? Because we've done...
Okay, we've covered orcs.
Orcs, Chaos.
Necrons.
Tau. Eldar, Dark
Tau.
Eldar, Tau. That only leaves us those two, right? You know which two, right?
Am I blanking on one? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, sorry. I'm not the biggest 40K person, so...
Yeah. Like, we both enjoy the setting, it's just I'm a lore hound. And Zolgar really isn't. Well, that's not accurate either. It's just the things that he lore hounds on are different from the things I lore hound on.
Yeah.
I've seen you get deep on some properties.
Do not get me started on Star Wars. Or Star Trek. I'm still the bigger Star Trek fan.
No, you're not!
Okay. So.
Alright.
Om nom nom.
Nom nom.
Nom noms.
Nom noms. Why are we talking about eating stuff? Well, because that is the sole purpose of this faction.
The Zerg. I mean, Tyranids.
Yeah, except the Tyranids are the Zerg... Basically, the Tyranids are the Zerg's bigger, meaner, did jail time cousin.
Well, so...
Now, Zerg came first. And so... Alright. I need to back up. Alright, so StarCraft was lifted whole cloth from 40K. Blizzard, don't at me. You guys have enough problems right now. So
here's the thing. It's not just... I'm not sure specifically with StarCraft, but Warcraft was originally supposed to be a Warhammer game.
I'm not surprised.
Literally, it was going to be a Warhammer game, and then GW changed their mind and denied the license.
So that's why the properties feel very similar, because they share roots, so to speak. But then StarCraft introduced the Zerg. And Games Workshop turned around and produced the Tyranids. And I've often joked that it was just like their way of like, well, you stole this from us, so we're just going to steal from you. So basically, they stole from them, and then they stole back. And what most people don't realize is that was the gaming industry in the 90s. And if you think I'm wrong, I want you to go look at a Keiko demon from Doom. And I mean old school Doom. You know what the original Keiko demon art in Doom is, don't you?
No, I don't.
It's a recolored Astral Dreadnought without the hands. Literally, they just lifted the image and repainted it.
Yeah, I actually that makes sense.
Which is why in the reboot there were various design reiterations for the Keiko demon to separate it from that old art. Anyway, digress. Not necessarily 40K related, but you know.
I'm still trying to find actually confirmation that the Zerg came before the Tyranids.
They did. StarCraft came out before the Tyranids were introduced.
No. The first recognizable incarnation of the Tyranids had appeared in Advanced Space Crusade in 1990. StarCraft 1. So, Brood War released in 1998, so I think...
Yeah, Brood War was the expansion.
Okay, actually, StarCraft originally released March 31st, 1998. So, unfortunately, you are incorrect. The Tyranids came before the Zerg.
Nah, they just went back and retroactively added them to the catalog. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past GW, but...
Wouldn't put much past GW. Except, treating their fan base with respect and dignity. Oh, whoops. Was that my out loud voice? Sorry.
Mostly I did want to address that because otherwise we'd get some neckbeard going, actually...
Let him. I don't care.
Yeah, but I'm the one who has to deal with that shit.
Like I said, I don't care.
If we get any neckbeards complaining about you getting stuff wrong, I am sending you the emails and you get to deal with them.
Yeah, and I'll just delete them.
No, you won't. Because we need to keep all of our emails so we can do mailbag episodes when we finally get emails. By the way, send us emails. Send Kaiju fan mail. Tell Grim how stupid he is.
I might be stupid, but I'm not as stupid as your face.
Not as stupid as your mom's face.
Not as stupid as your face's mom.
That doesn't even make any sense.
Your face doesn't make any sense.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
What the fuck is wrong with the Imperium of Man?
We don't got time for that, but we'll try to Sparks Notice it in a minute. First, real quick, we're going to talk about the Tyranids and actually talk about the Tyranids.
Nom nom.
The Tyranids exist for the sole purpose to consume all biomass throughout the universe. Literally, that is their purpose. That is the single motivating drive. And they do it in some really interesting and fucked up ways. I think my personal favorite fucked up way is the Gene Stealer cult, where they'll send some, what they call Gene Stealers, to infiltrate a culture and instigate the Gene Stealer cult. And I just want to point something out here. Consider this a prelude to what's coming when we get to the Imperium of Man, where how shitty does your society have to be that you can have multiple factions creating cults within your civilization? Cults to the Chaos, cults to the Gene Stealers, people getting indoctrinated by the Tau.
For the greater good.
The greater good.
But here's the thing. How many churches are there in the real world?
I'm not touching that one with a 12-foot pole. I need the extra 2 feet. So, what they do is they infiltrate, and the Gene Stealer cult's purpose then becomes to undermine that settlement's defenses. And then eventually the Tyranid come, and they consume everything. And now for the really fucked up part. After they have stripped the place of all organic biomass, all of their units, all of the creations and structures they have built out of biomass are then broken back down into biomass. Yes, that includes the people that helped them and their own soldiers. And when I say they make everything out of biomass, I mean everything. That gun, Tyranid. That blade, Tyranid. That ship is a fucking Tyranid.
That reminds me of something. Just before we get into the Imperium, there's one really fun, really stupid other thing that I forgot to mention about the orcs.
Oh, God.
Do you know what orc spaceships are?
Isn't it just scrap that they think works because they believe it works?
Well, there's that, but there's another one.
Oh, yeah, the meteors?
The meteors.
Yeah, they just get on a rock and hurl it at people.
Yeah, they will hitch a ride on a meteor and crash onto a planet, and most of the orcs on that meteor will die, but those that don't will swarm out of it and swarm over the world.
And here's the thing, even if every orc on that meteor dies, the spores still seed the planet and then become orcs.
Uh-huh.
Which, by the way, is why the Imperium of Man, if there's an orc infestation, will just scorch a planet. And we'll get there. There's a special term for it. So the Tyranids show up in massive hive fleets that are considered galactic-level threats. Tyranids are so dangerous a threat that all of the other factions who hate each other so much, like, I cannot stress enough how much all of the various factions of 40K hate each other, will take one look at a Tyranid hive fleet, look at each other, and go, we'll pick this up later. Let's go kick their ass. And I'm talking everybody. Chaos, Eldar, Dark Eldar, Tau, Orcs, doesn't matter. They will stop what they are doing, and instead of killing each other, go kill Tyranids.
Granted, I think the Orcs will still kill each other too, because that's the Orcs. They just like fighting everything.
Yeah. The problem is, having the Orcs fight the Tyranids is exceptionally dangerous, because the Tyranids can take on the genetic traits of the biomass they consume. And nobody wants Tyranids to have the power of belief. Or the ability to spore. Except maybe Zulgar.
So, what you're saying is the Tyranids are Bio-Borg.
Basically. It's terrifying.
Ooh, what would happen if the Borg...
We lose. That's what happens.
Though, I don't know, because here's the thing. The Borg also use technology. The Tyranids are strictly biomass, so what would happen? I mean, that would...
We lose. Everybody else loses. That's what happens if those two forces meet and fight. Everybody else loses.
Which would be worse? The Borg encountering the Tyranids, or the Borg encountering the Orcs? I think the biological devouring, or biomass devouring aspect of the Tyranids would kind of work directly against the Borg's nature, but...
I mean, it kind of depends on whether or not their nanites can... I don't know. I don't want to think about it anymore, because no matter what, we lose. There is no minimum safe distance to that conflict.
Maybe in another dimension?
No, they'll just go through the warp after us.
Somewhere out there in the multiverse, there has to be a safe place.
I don't think so. So, Tyranids are this all-consuming force of Om-Nom-Nom. And we've talked about them a little bit here and there, but that finally brings us to the Imperium of Man. And we saved them for last because, well, we don't normally talk about how long we've been jibber-jabbering on these, but we just hit 45 minutes without going into the Imperium. So that's why we saved them for last, because we knew that we were going to be on this for a little while.
All right, so let's see. I think the first thing about the Imperium is, how many sub-factions are the Imperium?
All right, buckle up, kids. So this is going off of just memory. We have the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines.
Which, that's not one faction.
No.
Because the Space Marines are broken down into different factions.
Multiple factions. There are factions within factions within factions within the Adeptus Astartes. There is the Adeptus Mechanicus, which is the machine cult. They're your tech priests. Yes, they turn technology into a religion. Yeah, I know. It's stupid.
And also, technology is heresy.
Mm-hmm. I told you. Stupid.
It's satire.
Welcome. There's the Ecclesiarchy. And then, well, technically related to the Ecclesiarchy, they are also considered their own faction, and that is the Inquisition. Then there's the Imperial Guard, or whatever the hell they're called now. And those are the major, like, top-end factions. Then you start bringing it down. There's the individual Marine chapters.
So the Imperial Guard are the Astra Militarum.
Oh, yep, there it is. Oh, I forgot. The Imperial Navy.
Okay, so they're military forces.
Mm-hmm.
Astra Militarum,
Mm-hmm.
Navis Imperialaris,
Mm-hmm.
Adeptus Astartes, Adeptus Mechanicus,
Mm-hmm.
Collegia Titanica, Militarum Tempestus, Questor Imperialis,
Mm-hmm.
Legio Cybernetica,
Mm-hmm.
Adeptus Sororitas, aka the Sisters of Battle.
Kill it with fire. That is their motto.
Adeptus Custodes, Adeptus Arbites, and the Sisters of Silence. One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, okay, let's get into this. I'm going to start off with the easy one, the Adeptus Mechanicus, the machine cult. Praise the Omnissiah! So they have codified the use of technology in very specific ways. Because unrelenting use of technology is heresy. They have couched everything in theocratic religious terminology when it comes to operating machinery. You are not accessing the operating system.
You are communing with the machine spirit.
You are not entering computer code or commands. You are entering the litanies and prayers. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So, how did this come about? Well, we're going to go all the way back to the beginning of the Imperium for this. So, way back when, the glorious God Emperor rose up and announced himself to the world, saying, "Hey, I'm your glorious God Emperor." And there were a couple of people that were like, "What? No, that's stupid." And they didn't last long. He sought to unite the entirety of man under one imperial banner, and did that. And then he created the Space Marines. Specifically, he created the Primarchs, which are the original Space Marines. These were the guys that would eventually spawn most of the greater chapters that we know. And he organized everything and advanced technology and while he was working on a project, one of his kids, one of the Primarchs, Horus, decided, "Hey, Chaos is pretty cool.
Chaos is pretty cool.
We should go hang out with them."
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
And a whole bunch of the other Primarchs were like, "Yeah, this Horus guy knows what's up." But then a whole bunch of the other Primarchs were like, "Whoa, dude, no." And it ended up being like this whole big thing until the Emperor was injured horrifically to the point of death. But he's not actually dead because, he's a god. He's the God Emperor, right? So they put him on a throne with life support built into it, and he's now basically just a fucking skeleton. He's a cyber skeleton sitting on a throne. Nobody's heard from him in forever, but they just assume that he's still in there. I told you this was stupid. Remember, kids, it's satire. And he had one major rule when he was making everything, dictating how we should build our society. No religion.
So they built a religion around him.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a clusterfuck. The ecclesiarchy is absolutely just layers of bureaucracy and horseshit stacked on horseshit. But the Inquisition is something else entirely. They are...
That's heresy.
The Inquisition is heresy.
That's heresy.
Your face is heresy.
Your mom's face is heresy.
Your face's mom is heresy.
That heresy makes no sense.
Your face is still heresy.
Kaiju is heresy.
Adorable, adorable heresy.
Also, this podcast is probably heresy.
Definitely heresy. The Space Marines themselves aren't even simple either. We don't have time to really get into it, but basically every Space Marine is adopted into their chapter and then genetically re-engineered with the quote-unquote gene seed of their Primarch, making them not quite copies of, but similar to.
And each of these factions of the Space Marines, it should be noted that these are individual, unique factions within the Space Marines that do not always get along. This isn't just like, okay, here in the U.S., the different branches of the military kind of needle each other. These guys will straight up go to war with each other. Isn't it the Blood Angels and the Space Wolves have a just horrific feud?
Possibly. Honestly, the Space Wolves don't really get along with most of the other chapters.
No.
They kind of do their own thing, and then if you get in their way, they kick your ass, basically.
Yeah, because the Space Wolves are space Vikings. The Sons of Russ. Their Primarch is Leman Russ, who also has a big-ass tank named after him.
Yep.
They have, very Viking themes. They ride giant wolves.
Basically, if you're imagining every sci-fi 80s metal band cover on the album cover, you're probably not far off.
It's about half of them.
Yeah. But you gotta admit, riding a giant wolf into battle with a energy sword and a bolter is pretty fucking metal.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a reason that's the other faction that I was gonna play when I played 40K.
They are pretty cool. Blood Angels are cooler though.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
Also, just a kind of cool thing about the Space Wolves over a lot of the other factions of Space Marines. Most of the factions of Space Marines, they have a fairly uniform group size, regardless of what your rank is.
Mm-hmm.
The Space Wolves, their whole process is they take their new initiates and they have a whole big group of them. And basically, this is before they even have their power armor. And they go into battle, a bunch of them die, and you get the next step up. So, the more advanced and skilled the unit is, the smaller it is. To the point where you get their, top tier, and it's there's 5 of them to a unit at most. And then there's the Lone Wolves. The Lone Wolves are Space Wolves who the entire rest of their pack died. And they now have one simple mission in life. To find the biggest, baddest thing on the battlefield and kill it or die trying.
Which is just stupid, tactically speaking.
But it's cool.
But it's stupid. Our unit took heavy losses. We're down to 3 dudes. Should we reinforce? Nah. We'll just leave those 3 guys alone. Yeah. Like I said, 40K is stupid. And then there's a chapter of Space Marines that aren't actually Space Marines, but kind of are Space Marines. And that's the Grey Knights. And they kind of sort of answer to the Inquisition, but not really. Welcome to 40K. Even the bureaucracy has bureaucracy.
The Grey Knights' whole thing is very specifically murder chaos.
Yep. And they use all sorts of freaky deaky cool psychic powers to do it, which would be heresy to anyone else. But they get away with it. How? We don't know.
Because the ecclesiarchy says they do.
Pretty much.
And then there's the Sisters of Battle, who are basically Space Marines, only female, and they answer to the Inquisition.
Yeah, it's also worth noting, however, that the Sisters of Battle do not possess a gene seed, so they are normal people size in power armor. And they kick as much ass as the actual Space Marines. And they like fire.
They really like fire.
They like fire a lot.
I'm really looking forward to the Sister of Battle
I
expansion.
keep checking the page to see if it's been released yet or not. Not that I could afford it right now, but...
This
anyway.
podcast not sponsored by Warhammer 40K Inquisitor Martyr, but it's a great game. You should buy it.
But if they wanted to sponsor us, we wouldn't say no. So that's the Sisters of Battle, the Inquisition... I kind of already covered them. The Inquisition is a shit show, divided into orders. There's the Ordo Xenos, who focus on studying and killing aliens. Is it just Ordo Chaos? I don't even remember. It's just so... I guess it doesn't matter, but yeah, there's multiple orders, and each order specializes in, like, killing aliens, or killing chaos, or... Maybe it's the Ordos Hereticus? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Point is, they kill heretics. Because, well, there's a whole lot of heresy in the Imperium, because, well, living conditions in the Imperium are shit, and if somebody comes along and goes, hey, if you worship this god over here, your life might get better. What are you going to do? You're going to be like, well, worth a shot.
That's heresy.
Your face is heresy.
That's heresy.
Your face is hairy, see?
That pun is heresy.
Oh, God. All right. The fact of the matter is, the Imperium of Man has been run into the ground with the absence of the Emperor for the past 4,000 years, or 40,000 years, excuse me. So across the span of 40,000 years, it's been run into the fucking ground. They don't remember how to build their own technology anymore. So when they lose one of those giant, massive battle monastery ships, they can't replace it. When they lose one of those giant walking war mechs called Titans, they can't replace it.
Because technology is heresy. Studying technology is heresy. Building technology is heresy. Talking about technology is heresy.
Talking about building technology is heresy.
Talking about heresy is heresy.
The fact of the matter is, the Imperium of Man is like the longest running game of paranoia ever.
That's heresy.
I'm going to heresy you in a minute. The fact of the matter is, you can do everything right within the Imperium of Man. Say all your prayers to the God Emperor, do your work, make no fuss, and you can still get executed for heresy.
Basically.
Because heresy is whatever they say the heresy is.
That statement is also heresy. But basically, the Imperium is... The Inquisition, especially, is very heavily based off of the witch hunts of old.
Yeah, the witch hunts of old. Overall, the Imperium of Man is fascism writ large.
Very much fascism.
And there is not enough of the fan base that acknowledges that.
And there are some of the fan base that straight up embraces it by making their Imperial Guard units straight up Nazis. Fortunately, official Warhammer 40K events have started cracking down on that shit.
It's a clusterfuck.
Could you imagine sitting down at a table and here your opponent just drops a group of Nazis when you're not playing a World War II miniatures game?
I mean, I just look at it as a target-rich environment. The only good Nazi is a dead Nazi.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, though. I mean, if you went in there, you would definitely not see that coming. He is now threatening me with a water bottle. That is what we have devolved to.
Well, I don't have my knife, so I can't threaten to stab you. So I'm just going to throw this at you.
Oh no! Hydration! I'm dying! Alright, honestly, we could rant about how stupid the Imperium of Man is and go into each fucking faction in detail over and over again. All night, really. So, I think we should probably start wrapping this bad boy up. You got anything you want to hit?
So it's worth noting that within the Imperium, mutants are also basically heresy.
Mm-hmm.
But there are actually sanctioned mutants. So there's the mutants, which mutants are bad, but there are basically human subspecies that are now sanctioned subhumans that are okay to exist.
Fascism!
In other words, you're terrible, but you're useful, so we'll keep you around.
Yeah.
Which, how many different fascist groups have used that concept before?
If we keep this up, we're going to start getting political.
So, just in case you've somehow listened to this and missed it throughout this entire episode, the Imperium of Man is fascist and not good guys. They are not to be looked up to. Because 40K is fucking satire.
Anyway, I'm going to go strap on my power armor now. For the Emperor!
Wah!
And that's it for this week. If you like what we do, please give us a like, follow, rating, all that nonsense on your favorite podcatcher.
You can also support us on Patreon for special bonus content and episodes a week early, or tip us on Ko-fi. You can find those and our social media platforms and Discord server in the show notes.
Also be sure to give our friends some love.
It's going to be John Westley at the Sense of Shelf podcast. So, now that you've had your brain completely melted by the stupidity of Warhammer 40K, why don't you listen to something intellectual like someone actually talk intelligently about books?
Hi friends, my name is John Westley, and I'm the host of the Sense of Shelf podcast. When you're done listening to the show you're listening to now, feel free to come find me as I talk about books and authors and talk to people about their favorite books and authors. So again, that's the Sense of Shelf podcast. It's available on most, if not all, podcasting platforms, and you can find me on social media, Instagram and Twitter, at Sense of Shelf Pod. Thank you, and enjoy your podcasts.
Last but certainly not least, we want to give a quick shout out to all of our supporters on Patreon and Ko-fi, especially these idiots.
Random Warrior and Rain.